We are definitely excited tonight to talk more about branding. And so I think that we all know what brand means in cattle lingo, but in the marketing world, it is the process of creating a strong, positive perception of your operation and your offering in your customer's mind. And in a busy world full of noise, you have to stand out. And standing out doesn't necessarily mean just a bunch of bright colors. Sometimes it's just about incorporating authenticity and consistency within your brand. So now that we've gone through that, let's discuss the key differences between brand identity and brand image. So your brand identity is how you want to be perceived. So this will be your logo, the choices that you choose for your colors, your fonts, and those key design elements that are unique to you. The key messaging that you put out on those pieces and your website and your social media pages, and also what you have to offer, and then those sale day events. Whereas your brand image is going to be how others perceive you. So that's going to be their impression. And that will be, your customer's perception of sale day and their perception of that follow-up call, and also that reputation. So what are you known for? Maybe a trusted leader or an expert in specific genetics, and also that emotional response that your brand gives your customers. So on sale day and throughout the year, when they see your ad, when they come to your operation for a visit, and what are those interests, needs, wants, and fears? Maybe the fear of missing out on certain genetics that you offer, or missing out on sale day. Also, is your customer, how are they believing in those core values, your brand promise, and your breeding philosophies? So really, if you're looking at this from two different lenses, with your brand identity on one side and your brand image on the other side, you definitely want to be somewhere in the middle. You want to be perceived by others how you're trying to be perceived. And so it's important to just try to stay in the middle of these two at all times. Today we'll pretty much refer to branding as brand identity throughout the whole presentation, but there's a little bit of brand image in this as well. And so why is brand identity important? It's definitely important because having a strong, consistent brand identity means that you'll be recognized more. And being recognized more is, of course, going to be a return on your advertising investment. And so you want to be seen on web, on your website, social media, and in print advertising, digital advertising. And customers definitely trust those brands that they continue to see, even in the off-season. And so what are those steps to developing a strong brand identity? You're going to want to build your brand foundation, which we'll talk about all of these in just a second, and also understand your audience and develop clear, concise messaging, and also create a consistent brand design, build a strong brand presence, and evaluate continuously. So building your brand foundation is comprised of those core values. So what are your operations' core values? What is your operations mission? And what is your why? For some people, it's because they've been doing this for generations, and in some cases, it's also, that they're just so passionate about this industry and everything that their operation has to offer. And maybe some people are brand new and they're learning all of the time what their operations mission is. And so, also an important part of building a brand foundation is understanding your brand promise. Is there something that you bring to the table that maybe other operations don't? And how can you understand that and then bring it back through all of the other steps of building a brand identity? And it's really about establishing and showcasing that level of trust and authenticity between you and your potential customers. The other aspect is definitely to understand your audience. We talk a lot about this in some of our other Angus University sessions and also in the other events that we have at Angus Media Marketing Summit, where you want to understand your customers to the full extent. So their operation type, location, purchasing drivers. So is it interests, needs, wants, or fears? also their age and some key demographics, and then of course their media consumption preferences. So does your audience read print, or are they more digital focused, maybe a little bit of both, or maybe they hang out on social media more than the other two. And so then you'll also want to know their frequency of purchase and just get to know that customer base really well. And then also the biggest thing here too is to understand what problems your customers have. Is it a specific type of genetics that they're missing? What problems do your customers have? Because that ultimately will help you identify how to create that messaging to create the solutions that you have to offer for them. And so the next part is to develop your messaging and know what's important to your customers. And so like we've talked about before, aligning what you have to offer with what your customers need is extremely important. And then keeping your messaging clear, concise, and consistent. And this is something that can seem very easy to do, but it's actually a little hard because everybody wants to say all the things about their operation or every lot in the sale, and so sometimes it's hard to keep that messaging clear and concise, but it's definitely very important, especially from a brand identity standpoint. The more clear, concise, and consistent that you can be, the more memorable and easy it will be to recall. Also, you'll want to incorporate your brand promise and competitive advantages throughout your messaging. And so this is very important to just reiterate what you have to offer that other operations don't necessarily, and how your core values and that brand promise pulls through. Also, creating your brand design, this is something that you're going to want to use to stand out, but also the use of consistency here is also very important, because whenever you use consistent images or colors, fonts, things will be easier to recall. And then whenever you use them across multiple media types, such as print and digital and social, then people will be more familiar with your operation and get familiar with seeing it, and it will be a nice reminder to them. So it's definitely about consistency with your brand design. Also, another aspect of that is personalizing it to be unique to you and your operation. A lot of people will have, a specific image or background or graphic that really relates to their operation that's unique and special to them, and then they'll incorporate that across all of their pieces. And so also another aspect is just including your logo in all places. So you'll want to include this on your print pieces, on your digital pieces, even social posts and lot videos too. And the more places that logo is, then the more easy it is for that breeder to recognize you. Also, developing a tagline sometimes is helpful at this stage. And so you can see how it fits into your logo and also how it fits in with those design elements. Not everybody has a tagline, but sometimes it can be helpful whenever you want to be recognized in a specific way, and it's just an easy way to tie it in with your logo. At this creating your brand design level, it's also nice because you can create pieces in all different sizes to see what it will look like. So you can make any tweaks at that time. I know that our team does a great job of creating the sale book and then the print ads and then digital ads, also just resizing as we go and incorporating those key elements along the way. Also, building a strong brand presence is extremely important. And so you have this great brand, you have your messaging all laid out, but in order to truly showcase it, you have to put it out there. And so creating and updating frequently a responsive website that's user-friendly and accessible on a mobile device is extremely important. I know that at Angus Media, we definitely do a lot of websites, and it's surprising how many people don't keep them up to date. And so we definitely recommend, starting with a website, letting that be your home base. It's not like you will update it near as much as social media, but it's still an important place to keep your branding there and your elements all tied in, but then also update it because people do visit your website throughout the year. And then also some people do have Facebook business pages, which are helpful too. Of course, those do require more frequent updates, but it's great to create, your strategy and those social media goals and needs that fit your operation, and then incorporate those little branding elements there. And it's easy to recreate the other branding pieces that you're doing, your sale book, a postcard, a print ad, and digital ads, and just what's going on around the operation, and then just have your logo on it, and then people can share it, and that will definitely increase your brand presence. Also, just keeping in mind that while you're building your brand presence, that you're incorporating a level of marketing balance into your media plan. And so that will be across print and digital and social. And that is making sure that you're reaching people who are more print heavy or more digitally savvy, and you're reaching multiple people who want to be behind your brand and want to see that brand. And then also a newer topic is brand influencers, and you may hear this on social media, but this is actually no different for the ag industry. And so a brand influencer can be family or friends, a sale manager, it can be loyal customers, your veterinarian, ultrasound tech. Anybody can be a brand influencer for you. And the purpose of this is to allow these people to truly be an advocate and a resource for your brand. And in ways that they can do that by providing testimonials or spreading the word about your offering, and also just being a sounding board for you. So if you have ideas about your brand specifically, if you should change something, if something's working, or not working, then you can absolutely get their opinion, and they're going to be a close resource for you. And then this brand influencer actually works for all operations and sizes of operations. So how do you engage a brand influencer? And for this, you would ask them to engage with your brand on all properties. So you can ask them to visit your website or like your social media pages, follow you on social media, and you can also arm them with information about your operation and your offering. So they'll receive a copy of your sale book, a flyer for the sale, branded apparel, and social media posts. They'll start to know that they can share those. And also, another thing is just you can request those testimonials, of course, to use on your website, social media, and in advertisements from them. And then you can also ask them to rate you, at least your customers, on social media and Google. So another part of brand identity is going to be evaluating. And it's important to just evaluate your brand because you may want to make some small changes over time. It may be a color or an image that you use, maybe a font. And you want to see if there's any gaps in your brand presence. This is something that a lot of people will promote their sale, of course, a few weeks before the sale, but how can you promote your brand, and how is that different? How is promoting your brand different than promoting for sale day? And of course, your brand shows up through your sale day promotion, but how can you keep that brand promotion year long? And also evaluating, checking in with those brand influencers, so you can absolutely check in with them and see if they have any feedback. Also, another way is customer surveys. These are very important. You can ask your customers some questions that revolve around more of the brand identity side. You can also ask them questions about how they perceive your brand, those brand image topics that we talked about, and surrounding some of those questions around that in your survey. And also, if you do have reviews on Google or Facebook, or you get comments on some of your social media posts, those can be good indicators as well. And so we did talk about building a brand presence, and so we talk about sale day promotion a lot, and then we talk about brand awareness, and that is a year-long initiative where you can mix things. You can do more digital or more print at different times, but it's really just keeping your brand front and center in front of potential customers. And there's many ways to do this. Of course, social media, and then digital ads, print ads, keeping your website up to date even in the summertime a little bit, especially with next year's sale dates for sure. But just keeping that brand awareness going and in front of customers. And so a summary of the brand identity portion is just build your brand foundation and understand your audience and develop clear, concise messaging, and then create a consistent brand design and build a strong brand presence and evaluate continuously. And so with brand identity, of course, we talk about a lot of different marketing initiatives within Angus Media, and brand identity is definitely one of our favorites, alongside many others, but we do talk about more marketing initiatives. We will at Angus Convention. We have staff there to answer questions on a one-on-one basis, and we also will have time at the Angus University sessions at Angus Convention. We also recently launched a workshop event called Angus Media Marketing Summit, so you can check that out on our website. We will have a couple of those a year where we go into brand identity further, marketing balance. We will also talk about analytics, posture to publish, and then have a one-on-one workshop as part of that too. Also, you can subscribe to the Angus Journal. We have a new series, a marketing series that will entail a few articles in the Angus Journal, so definitely subscribe to and watch out for those. And then we also have and just launched the Angus Conversation podcast. So that's a great place to check out news and information, and occasionally they'll have some marketing tidbits on there. And so with that, I will invite Mackenzie up to see what questions we have.
Great job, Alex. We do have some questions submitted by our audience, and we will do our best to get through as many as we can in our time tonight, but there's no guarantee that your question will get brought up. So if you do have one that is not answered tonight, please do not hesitate to reach out to Alex or myself with those questions. So the first question, Alex, is, I'm a small breeder. What is the first thing I should do?
I think as a small breeder, if you are smaller or you're just starting out, a good place to start is making sure that you have that website. I know that websites are very cost effective. They don't take a ton of work necessarily. You can actually even do a website through Angus Media where they update everything for you, or they have those auto updated EPDs. They can link to your sale book and take a lot of the work out of it for you. But I would say definitely starting with a home base, and that should definitely be a website.
I would definitely also say to set up your social medias, like your Facebook, Instagram, getting your brand out on those social platforms so then people can start sharing your message as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so the next one is, I want to change some aspects of my branding. Should I do that gradually or get a totally fresh start?
That's a great question. I think it depends a little bit. I would say that in most cases, especially if you are an established brand, that you would want to make those changes on a gradual basis. If it's one thing, it's one color, or it's that image, or maybe you want to tweak your logo just a bit, but you're pretty established already with those key colors and your logo, then maybe just making some small changes year over year. But if, maybe you're newer your brand just no longer serves its purpose and it needs a fresh rehaul, then you definitely can do that. And we have, of course, a ton of designers, and they love to do that stuff. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. How do I establish a brand identity when just starting out?
I think that really goes back to, doing the website, and I do want to add one more thing too, that if you do your website, at least with Angus Media, you do get that free logo design aspect, and you also can just start to put those branding elements together, because as you're building that website, you're going to be selecting different images and maybe fonts and different colors, and then you'll have that free logo design. And so I think that it's a really nice touch to just start there and then grow. And like you said, then maybe expand to social media and expand to print pieces or print advertising and then digital advertising.
Definitely, and especially keeping it the same throughout all platforms and will really
Yeah.
help.
Absolutely.
How do I make all my materials look similar for branding purposes?
So that is a good question. I think once you develop your messaging and you've selected those key colors, and of course you have your logo, then it's pretty easy to resize and switch things up for different media types. I know that, at Angus Media we'll sometimes have a larger piece and we can't fit all of that into one social post. So we may just take bits and pieces from that for social or for an e-newsletter article or in some way. And then of course that helps with additional content creation. And it's just about understanding which medium, you're gonna be on and then selecting your message for that.
Absolutely. So another one is, how much does a website with Angus Media cost?
A website is $750 and then it is $300 for hosting.
Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
and then websites I think are $1750.
$750, yep, $750 for a brand new website. Yep, and that will include all the pages, and the web team actually does a great job of managing all of that and letting you know exactly what they need and getting you a price. If there's something crazy you want to do, then of course they can get you a unique price, but out of the box it's $750, just one time.
What would you recommend in terms of advertising?
So in terms of advertising, if it's specific for your brand or specific for your sale, I definitely don't think that changes much. It's just your messaging that changes. And so we talk a lot about marketing balance and making sure that you're in print so that you're reaching those people who are more print driven, and also digital so that you're in front of the people who are more digital savvy. And so there's so many different options, and I think that depending on your budget, there's an option that works well for you. I know that at Angus Media we put together plans that are all over different. We have a bunch of targeted audiences too, so we have some stuff that's geared more towards female buyers and some that's geared more towards bull buyers. And so the options are pretty much endless, but having that layer of marketing balance where you're promoting on your own social pages, but then you're also utilizing some other print and digital options to just expand your reach and to continue to get your brand out there.
Absolutely. So I know you mentioned earlier about making a balance. What is the true value of using multiple types of advertising, print, digital, etc.? And which should I use the most?
I think that's a great question, and this is something that I'm very passionate about, and it's analytics. And so what we'll often do, and you can do this for branding too, is you can look at your website analytics and you can actually see different responses. So at least if that's your call to action, which we didn't get into that a lot, but of course a call to action is very important in terms of advertising. And so if your call to action is to visit your website for more information or a new branding video that you had put up, anything, then you can watch those website analytics go up whenever you put pieces out. So if it's a print piece or a digital piece, even print gets analytics. A lot of people think that print advertising doesn't. It does. You just have to put the direct call to action on there, and then you go and look at the analytics online. This is something that we do really well at Angus Media. If we do your website or we have your sale book online, we can actually pull those analytics for you, and we can look at that year over year and see those responses. So I think that the true value of using multiple is that not everybody reads print, not everybody's on social media, and not everybody's searching a bunch of different websites. Everybody has these different media preferences, and so spreading out across all of them just helps you be recognized more. And then of course you can always evaluate that by looking at those analytics. And yeah.
Absolutely. So how often should I be posting on social media?
From a brand awareness standpoint, this definitely differs based on your goals, but really the minimum these days is weekly. I think that social and more, but weekly is a good place to kind of gauge. It's middle of the road. But it is a lot, And you'd be surprised, though, about the content that people want to know in the off season. It's just, what are you up to? What's life, on the ranch, and what's going on in your operation this summer? And taking quick videos. And it doesn't have to be high production. It can be from your cell phone. We recently had a meeting with a breeder, and he posted a video of some cows out in his pasture, and he just posted it, and it got a lot of engagement. And we talked about that, and we talked about the analytics. It's just really about getting your brand out there and posting some content to be recognized. We know that social is fleeting, and the attention span of people is very short, so that frequency does make a difference.
Yeah, and especially if it's just like a short blurb or video, like you said, it really does make a difference.
Yeah, and of course we know that during sale time, it's much easier to post on social because you have a bunch of content and lots to promote. But during the off season, you would be surprised that they want to know more about you and your brand and your operation.
Absolutely. So what are some ideas of things to post on Facebook and your website to captivate your audience? I know we just talked a little bit about those social ideas, but I guess for your website.
Yeah, well, and I think this also goes back to a point that maybe I missed on the social posts, is to always still have a call to action to drive people in deeper to your website. So, during sale season, you're going to be pushing them to your sale book. You may be pushing them to your website. And so even, in the summer months, you'll want to still push them back to your website with those social posts. If you have a private treaty or anything else going on, you can definitely push them back to your website at all times. But some content to keep your website updated is you can add personal photos, you can add different things that's going on there, or lump some of those social posts together and add them there. I think that the key thing is just as soon as you have next year's sale date, making sure that it's on there, because people do check in and they want to know, and they'll check back in on you actually even days after your sale. So updating that website is absolutely very important.
How would you encourage engagement on social media?
I think for encouraging engagement, it's definitely about posting frequently and also tagging people, tagging your brand influencers and tagging those friends and family members and getting them to engage and recognize, they'll get a notification, and then they can share that and then create more of a brand presence for you on social too. Also, I know that there's a way where you can invite your friends to like your page and invite anybody that your personal page is friends with, really. And so that could be helpful, because maybe there's some people that would be interested in following and engaging with your page that don't know yet. They maybe don't know that it's there.
Yeah, and I would definitely say when asking people to tag, you're tagging people, ask people to tag you. So if somebody buys one of your bulls or something, you can have them tag you in their Facebook post. That way people can see how your genetics are performing in other herds.
Yeah, that's a great thought. I love that.
I see more and more video. Am I behind the times if I only post photos? Should I incorporate video? If so, how?
That is a great question. And video is absolutely one of the most engaging media types out there, especially on social media, especially these creative video packages that really get people's attention. And so, I definitely recommend including more video in your brand elements, just the simple stuff. You can actually even include a video cover on your website, which is really cool and adds another layer, but incorporating more video on your social media pages for sure. And we can do creative videos, and we can actually promote your lot videos too. And so there's a bunch of different ways we can do that, but I think a lot of people get hung up on video needing to be very formal, and for social media it doesn't. You can take your cell phone and record some video content and put it out there. But of course, for anything formal, we're definitely here to help, and for anything else that's created, we are happy to help promote.
All right, what kind of marketing is ideal for a cow-calf producer?
Yeah, so we have some target audiences in print and digital, and so you can actually advertise in the Angus Beef Bulletin, which goes to 65,000. It's a circulation of 65,000, and it goes basically to anyone who's purchased a bull within the last 3 years. And that's a great marketing avenue. And that goes out in September, October, January, February, and March. And then another issue, a special issue called the Feeder Calf Marketing Guide, which goes to $83,000, and that's in June. And then we also have a bunch of digital properties that reach the bull buying audience, and that will be e-blasts or retargeting, where we can show your ad on social media, and then also connected TV and a bunch of different places. The Google Display Network, I probably shouldn't name them all, but email marketing, there's retargeting, and I don't know, what else am I missing?
We do have the Beef Bulletin Extra that goes out bi-weekly, and we do have spots in there for ads as well as featured sale books that you can go ahead and advertise as well.
Yeah, and that actually brings up a good point too, that we now have a podcast for that audience, and it's called Angus at Work, and so you can tune in to that at any time, and we'll actually begin offering advertising in that as well. So we have a ton of options for that group.
Do audiences want more professional content or authentic real life stuff?
I think there's a healthy balance there. I think it's definitely good to do a little bit of both. I mean, I think in the summer months, maybe it's more casual, it's more laid back, it's more behind the scenes and authentic. And then closer to sale time, you're starting to put out that professional grade content a little bit more and getting recognized in a busy time, especially whenever, there's a lot of sales going on. And so standing out even more so during that time, but also still weaving in that authentic content at all times is great.
Absolutely. Looks like I have one coming in now.
Good.
How do I gain organic traction?
I mean, I think this goes back to the posting frequently for organic, and also the more shares you get organically, then the more people that are going to see that, and you'll continue to gain more traction. So I think it goes back to, that tagging aspect, and also please ensure your logo's on everything, because whenever it is shared, it is nice to have that logo aspect there. But organic's great, and you can definitely develop a lot of traction by posting frequently and tagging, and yeah. And then also I know that, like, from a paid standpoint, it's good too, because maybe you'll reach people beyond your Facebook page. So I know in some cases we can actually promote Facebook pages, and we can promote digital ads on Facebook, and it can actually help grow your presence outside of your circle. And so I know that whenever you post an ad on your Facebook business page, then you're going to reach your circle unless you pay to reach outward. And then if you go through Angus Media, then you're going to reach that Angus audience who would be interested in hearing more about your operation.
Absolutely. All right, so last question. Who do I talk to at Angus Media to answer my branding questions?
I think that we have an amazing crew here. Everybody's extremely passionate about marketing and branding and design and analytics and the whole 9 yards. So really, I would say that you can definitely talk to anybody, but I would love for you to reach out to me directly. My email is ablake@angus.org, and I can absolutely get your questions answered or point you to one of the dedicated staff members to help you if it's something very specific. And I think, yeah,
all right,
that's our last question.
Well, on behalf of the staff here at Angus University, I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. And after this, whenever we finish up, your browser will redirect you to a survey. Please take your time to submit your feedback on this webinar, and also let us know what suggestions you have on future topics. We would love to hear how we can help you be better cattlemen and women in the industry. The full recording to this webinar will be available on Angus University, and then it will also be sent to you via email once we are done here. We encourage you to share the recording with anyone that you feel would be very interested in this topic. And once again, thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope that you all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.